Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session Beyond DITA. Conrefs are so DITA, really. It is DITA, but really, is it just DITA that uses Conrefs? Is there anything else that uses the concept, logic, maybe even the code behind the scene of Conref when we really look at the documentation, the way we build documentation, and the way we create content today? So that's what we're going to delve in today. I know this is a DITA World conference. I know we talked about DITA for the past 3 days, and well, the one just before my Yang session that was very intense. So I'm gonna kick it, back a notch and really bring you together to see where things, certain areas of DITA has overlapped over, moved on, and is along with us even in the unstructured world, as we would call, because everybody knows DITA is structure. Structure is king in this conference, and we all love structure. But even when there is no visible structure as boundary, we really want to see how those connects have been built across the tools that we use in the industry today, and especially with RoboHelp. So with the context set, I am Wortimla. The RS stands for Run Rushimre. That's my surname, my dad's surname rather. And I am a solutions consultant for Adobe's TechCom business. Well, I know we all love DITA, so I'm part of the I Heart DITA group. And if I were to quickly ask you what you love most about DITA, perhaps you can use the chat pod and really just maybe enter a couple of quick sentences in there about what you love most about DITA. But off the top of my head, I can think of a couple of things. And as you can see on the screen, a couple of things makes 3 rows. But really, we like the topic-based approach. We like content reuse. We love content reuse, rather. And that's why we all are here in this conference, really talking about content reuse from day 1 to day 3 over several sessions. We like the ease of authoring because the structure gives you the ability to just, navigate and guide you through how to create content. You're not really confused on, okay, should there be a paragraph before this or after? What can I include? What can I not include? Or what should I not include, rather? So the ease of authoring is just one big benefit that comes along with it. Single source of truth, we're going to beat this horse to death today, but really, single source of truth, having that one source that just moves out and delivers to all kind of platforms, really just beats it. At the same time, metadata, very powerful. Taxonomy, although not directly how you would use in the context of how we would eventually like to use. There is taxonomy in there. There's the concept of taxonomy available, and really in a lot of our DITA projects, we do work with taxonomy too. So absolutely in there. Content minimalism, one concept. From content reuse, we start moving ahead and start thinking about how can you make our content more concise? How can we create our content in such a way that it can be repurposed in several different ways at the same time with the least amount of work possible, which eventually in turn comes back to translation as well. But really content minimalism is another aspect we absolutely love as a by effect of what we do with DITA. Robust review. Review in itself is nothing new. There are review tools left, right, and center. If you're using Microsoft Word today, it does come with a review functionality. But really, what is the differentiator here? Can you do collaborative review? How many files are getting generated for you just to enable and get the collaborative review going? Or are you still doing pen paper kind of review where people like to still mark up with a red pen? All have questions out there, but what we really like is that when it comes to DITA, in a lot of scenarios, we have systems that allow and integrate for very robust review. We love that. Reduce translation costs, no brainer. We absolutely love it. Separation of form from content. Now, this is one of the, I would say, high selling points of DITA, considering the fact that we're focusing just on form, what kind of content we're creating, what should go into the document, and not really concerned about what the final eventual output would be. Because if we're working in something like Word, that's what we worry about, right? We start doing inline changes, all of those crazy stuff that we do, by everybody eventually delivering a very not unified outlook or look to your content. Multi-channel publishing, of course, makes sense. Publishing on demand, absolutely a subset of multi-channel publishing, and we like how we can just push our content out to various formats, whether it be HTML5, PDF, or even just CRM for that matter, using APIs, non-APIs, direct integrations in a variety of ways, but really publishing on demand. We also like the fact that with metadata in place, with I would say keywords, not necessarily because DITA does not use a lot of keywords, but necessarily because a lot of our end users just use keywords. They understand keywords as a term. So when they use a keyword to go and parse through your document and really try to find that one thing that comes to your website to look for, we want them to not only be able to search content, but be able to find content. So yeah, surfacing the right information at the right time is absolutely what's required, and DITA enables us to do that. At the same time, dynamic content filtering, having the ability to just switch content over based on what your requirements are, absolutely great. We all love shopping on Amazon, maybe not so much. Okay, yeah, we're going to have a mixed bag of people, the Amazon haters as well as the non-haters. But really, when we look at how we shop online today, we have a lot of filters. And that kind of cascades down to how we work with our content as well, even the way we make our content available to our end users so that they will be able to filter content and just find the right information in front of them sitting very seamlessly. Baselines. Now, I bring baselines in here because CCMS like AEM with the XML add-on, for example, it does allow you to really navigate and find your way around your document set. It's great. It's really, really powerful. We love that too. Content fragments, really. So all of this put together, we know for a fact that when we work with DITA, we are creating consistent content. We are creating content that's going to be really, really great, and it just enhances efficiency for us. So that's why we say we have DITA, we love DITA. Sometimes even if we don't love DITA, we work with DITA because of all the benefits really that come along with it. But because of all this vast, nice, advanced stuff that we have on here, a lot of times, if you are, not ready to be on a DITA platform, if you're on the fence, or if you're just not sure, because it does come with a bit of a learning curve, it does come with investment on infrastructure. If you are one of those people that's just confused, what if we're not there yet? You have all this nice stuff out there really, but we're just not ready to adopt DITA yet. We're confused as to whether DITA would fix our solution, would be the solution for us. We're confused about our content strategy at this point because we are at a very nascent stage, for example. If you're uncertain as to what your future outlook should be, what kind of outputs you would be delivering, really, or if, sometimes you just don't have the budget. We all know that TechCom, we don't always have, a huge amount of budget like marketing does. And we have marketing people on the call as well, so they're nodding their heads. But really, we don't really have budget. So even to get approval for, one really awesome tool kind of requires a lot of extensive research on our end to really just come up and justify why we need so much amount of money. Or sometimes it may just be that you have a small team, and within the small team, the whole cost of implementing DITA is maybe just a bit much for you. So maybe you just don't have the bandwidth, considering the fact that there are parallel releases. Time is of essence. So when you have all of these constraints and a lot more, you start wondering, okay, we love DITA, we love all the nice things that come along with DITA, but really, is there any other way for us to do this if we were not to stick to a structure as strict as DITA, for example? What if we do not have the infrastructure to work with a CCMS? Can we maybe perhaps dial it down and then just start slow, and eventually, maybe in 2 years from now, 3 years from now, we'd like to get there. But for today, the way we create content, our legacy content, let's say Word. I'm just using Word as an example. There are a lot more examples, but I'm just going to take Word. So if you're creating your document in Word right now, how can you just make it better without you kind of shoot yourself in the foot? If you have all these questions, I think we have a solution for you. We have a name for it, actually, rather. And that name is called RoboHelp. So we are going to have a look at RoboHelp today from all of this perspectives, from all of the nice things that we can achieve using DITA, and really see how we can scale it for our individual requirements, for our organizational requirements, and really also see if you can do without the structure that DITA provides, and at the same time reap all the good benefits that come along with it. So this is it. I'm going to go into a live demo mode. I know yesterday, Reg and I had a really nice presentation in RoboHelp, really demoing how to work with micro contents. Really amazing stuff. She had a very nice doc project in there. And the day before yesterday, Stefan had a really powerful, interesting, interactive session on how to bring in content into RoboHelp from Word, from HTML, really having those round tripping to all of these different services. So I'm not going to cover those areas. This is going to be more of a holistic, big overview on what you can possibly do with RoboHelp. But I encourage you to go watch those videos if you have not watched them yet at the recording, as well as, really see the possibilities of what you can do with RoboHelp in further detail with those sessions as well. But with that context set, I'm just going to go right into it and open up this project that I have in here. It's called DITAWORLD 2021. And yesterday, a couple of you were disappointed. You were like, oh no cats, just dogs. So this morning I got up and then I thought, oh no, you know what? Let me just create a cat project for my cat people. So this is more of a simple cat project in here. And for cat lovers, this is going to be good for you. For dog lovers, it's okay. Cats and dogs can be friends too. But really, what we have in here is a very nice, simple interface. For those of you who have been working on AEM, our web interface literally looks the same as this. So for those of you really who have never worked with RoboHelp or Adobe Experience Manager with the XML add-on before, the editor that we have is going to be similar. The only difference is that RoboHelp is going to be a desktop-based tool, and obviously the other solution is an enterprise-level web-based solution out there. So that's a web editor. This one is a desktop-based editor. You are going to be doing just 3 very simple things inside RoboHelp, and it's going to cover all of your documentation lifecycle, trust me. So over here, you have your authoring space. Really simple. Everything that you will need to do to create your content comes under the authoring space. So work with it. If you want to create new topics, because we're really looking at topic-based authoring. DITA is topic-based authoring. It's just that behind the scene, you have rules that dictate what you can and cannot include. And now you do not have that structure in RoboHelp, but definitely you can still build your content using topics and really continue reusing them. And we'll see how we do that. So build your content, create your content, work with a variety of reuse options in here. If required, send your documents up for translation, really. The authoring space is where you need to be to build all of this foundation. And then, of course, once you're done creating content, you want to send your documents up for review. So all of the nice stuff that we've been hearing in terms of what you can do with review if you are at an enterprise level, perhaps even, with something as simple as RoboHelp, you will find that you can actually have a very nice collaborative online review right here within the system. And today we will have a look at this as well. And of course, output generation, multi-channel publishing, really. We have a variety of output types that RoboHelp absolutely supports. And you'll find that this is intuitive enough. You'll find that this is really friendly enough for you to give your users, or your end users rather, a very nice experience at the end of the day. Nobody really would be able to make a difference as to what the source, where the source came from, because you are going to end up with a really nice final output as part of your result. So that's what your output is. But just as a big disclaimer, or rather to bring all of this together, if you want to work with multiple authors, you're thinking, okay, I have one project, I have 5 members, and we really want to work together, have collaborative authoring experience. We want to have that single source of truth stored somewhere. We want to have version control, and I know you want to have all of those things. So what you can do is you can just very simply come up here before you begin working on your project or even when you're halfway in there, it really doesn't matter. Just come up here and select one of these new connection options that we have right here. RoboHelp comes out of the box integrated with SharePoint, Git, and DevOps. Use one of these three options. We intend to add more, but this is what's out of the box available right now. All the integration has been done for you. For example, if it's SharePoint, just provide the URL, login, you're good to go. If it's Git, you're just going to do something very similar. Provide the repository URL, enter your ID, user ID, just going to define what branch you want to link to if you're using master and child branches in your Git repository. To do that, provide an SSH key and you're good to go. And the same would go for DevOps as well. Just provide whatever is required right here on the screen. You do not need somebody from IT to really help you set this up, configure it. No plugins required. Just bam, put all of this information and you're good to go, really. So just build this connection so that you can have your version control and collaborative authoring in place. Okay, with that said, let's come back into our first step that we really want to do here, authoring. We're thinking of content reuse as our core, a mantra that's really running behind our head. So over here, I have a couple of topics already pre-created. But really, if you want to create any new topic in RoboHelp, it's plus sign. Just hit on plus. There is a shortcut as well. You'll learn it soon enough. And once you do that, you'll find that you can just create any new topic that we like. So let me just say this is our DITA, okay, DITA world topic. Okay, here we go. Now, if you come down here, you can actually select a master page. I'll tell you exactly what a master page does in a minute, but really, just like you would if you were to start out in DITA, you can either create a concept, task, reference, whatever topic type that you really want to create. You can control that kind via your master page. So for example, if this is a concept, I can select the concept master page, and then I can just hit on this create option, and then voila, here we have it. Enter your title. You can add whatever you want. Just make sure you have a couple of these instructions on how to begin creating content. If I want to create something else as well, I'm just going to go with this, all this task, and just say, you know what, if this is a task that I'm going to be creating, so I want to have this task type right here, I can absolutely just use a master page and hit on create, and some basic instructions on how to just begin working with it with some basic guidelines can actually pop up. Now, the reason why this is showing up is because maybe even though we're not letting the tool control the look and feel of the content in terms of what goes before or after, you can already start preparing your content, start creating your content in such a way that when you're ready to move on to DITA, if finally or eventually, it will be a lot more easier. And there's also one primary reason why this is going to be easier for you. First of all, you have your classifications already done in here. And second of all, it's because behind the scenes, RoboHelp uses HDITA. So the code behind the scene is HDITA right here. It's HTML, but whatever structure we have used is the HDITA structure. And essentially, HDITA would be a subset of lightweight DITA. It just stands for HTML DITA. I don't know if you're aware of it yet, but about 70% of whatever we do in here is going to be just HDITA kind of, specific text in here. So really, for you to get started and eventually migrate your content into DITA, it's going to be very seamless, going to be very, very easy. And maybe even if you're not interested to move into DITA at all, if you want to work with just plain HTML, that's absolutely fine, because everything that we have in here is just plain, pure, 100% HTML code. We don't use anything proprietary in our code base, so you can just work with your content in HTML anytime you want. And that's a huge plus because a lot of times what we do is we end up using what we think is HTML content or on a particular tool, and then when we want to extract it, when we want to move someplace else, we realize, oh no, there's a ton of gibberish code in here, proprietary stuff that's specific to that particular company, A, B, and C, and you can't really just migrate easily. So yeah, that's a big headache. Well, I hope you don't move away just like that, but really, if you want to eventually, upgrade and make things easier and better for you, the code base that we have in here is going to make this very, very seamless for you. Okay, so here we go. Anytime you want, you can just create and work with any of these topics. Just topics that were loaded or preloaded with sample content like this is just simple master pages that just define, and you can just create any one of these right here. For example, for test, I just enter whatever I want to display the first time, and this is what essentially what's showing up right here as part of my content. So if you want to go this route, absolutely possible. You can absolutely work with this. At the same time, you must have also noticed that the moment we started working on my content in here, I have my menu options popping up. And that's great because everything that you see on the screen is going to be context sensitive. Whatever you need to do to make your content available and to make your content friendly is going to be available right here as part of your menu options. So very easy to work with. You can't really get lost there. We only have a handful out here. And honestly, this is more than enough for you to really generate good content. At the same time, if you want to work with code, absolutely knock yourself out. You can just add whatever it is that you really want. If I want to work with a P tag in here, absolutely possible. And it's going to auto-close my content for me, my tag for me, and so on. So work with that if you like, and just preview your content as you move along. So really, to work with RoboHelp, very easy. The interface is very easy, and you can really get started in this manner. Now let's go into a little bit more into how we can reuse content. When I think of reusing content, I think of it in about like 3-4 different stages. The first one would be at a character level. I start thinking, okay, if I have something in here, let's say, for example, let me open up one of this British short here. For example, this one. This is the name of the cat, and essentially, I'm going to be reusing British short here every single time. I mean, it may be something as simple as company name, version number, or whatever it is that you're going to keep reusing over and over again, product name in your case, or the zone area, geographical area for which a particular segment of the document is applicable for. So if you're using country names and names of states and places such as that, it's best to just make sure that you are using it consistently. Now, this is in lieu of taxonomy. There really is no easy way to bring in taxonomy in here, but in a way, it also allows you to control to a certain extent as to how certain naming conventions are really played out. So essentially, what I've done is I can type things out like British short here. Not a problem. And as you can see, I made a typo in here, and I probably wouldn't even notice it if I were to do this like 20 different times, 30 different times. But in order to avoid mistakes like this, essentially what I've done is I've just built variables, and we have variables available with various authoring tools as well. And so you can just work with variables and just decide what kind of name you're going to give. So build your variable tag, give it a name, give the value, and that's about it. You will have a nice list like this. And if it gets longer, you can absolutely just use the search option to include whatever you want to include. But really, instead of me typing this out, I'm just going to grab this variable in here and just, bring it in here. And there I have it. I have 4 consistent British short hair right here. And maybe someday in the future, somehow, for whatever reason, this cat is no longer British short hair, but British, maybe something else. Okay, Bob, here, whatever. Okay. So if that's the case, and if we need to make edits of this sort, I can just click on this variable, click on this name change, and it's going to reflect in all the places that I've used it. Not just in this one file that I have open right here, but in my complete project. So there is really no need for find and replace. When you go from version 1 to version 2, we tend to do a lot, right? Find all, replace all, and then or replace version 1.0 to 1.1 or 1.2 and so on. There really is no need for that if you're using variables, and this is going to ensure that you have consistency and accuracy at a character level as well. So this is great, and this absolutely works. I love working with this. At the same time, you may also have things like tips, cautions, things that you want to reference over and over again. Typically in DITA, that would be a Conrefs. So you can use a very similar option right here in RoboHelp as well, and we call that snippet. So for example, if I open up my snippets panel right here, you'll see that I have a warning for cat food right here. If I double click on it and open it, I say warning, raw or spoiled meat could make your cat sick. Let's say I want to reuse this, I want to reference to this snippet option that I have right here. Maybe in this one and this topic right here. That's the case. I'm just going to grab it and bring it in. and it's going to work just great. Or let's say on the reverse, and I can use this in as many topics as I like, right? So I'm just going to have a long list of snippets if I like, and just build it out and just keep reusing as I go along. And you know what? If we were to actually go have a look at the source code right here, yep, here we go. This is the Conref, and this is just a snippet that it's been linked to. So this is great. And really, but oops, I shouldn't have done that. But let's say, for example, I also have content that I want to convert to a snippet directly. If that's the case, it can work the other way around as well. Maybe this first paragraph. I'm just going to select this, from this little breadcrumb up here, I can select whatever content I want at the tag level. So I'm just going to hit on P and then select everything and just right click on this and say, you know what, I want to convert this into a snippet. So I can just say, this is my test snippet. And then I say create. So when I do that, a snippet has been created for me. The variable doesn't really matter. It doesn't care whether it's part of a snippet, part of a title, part of your body tag, does not really matter. Variables are going to flow everywhere. But we have a new snippet now that I can absolutely reuse in several different places. So maybe over here, or ideally, we shouldn't be just entering this as part of a task. So this is where your style guides and other guidelines and training is going to come into play if you want to, have humans enforce this. This was just an example, but really you can just bring in your content any way you want, wherever you want, as required as well. So here's a snippet, and really depending on what you're bringing in, you can change the look and feel, the font size, and get the look and feel of what your tip's going to look like, what your warning's going to look like. That will depend entirely on the style sheet that you're using, and that's completely independent of what you're doing right here as part of creating content. So again, another great way to reuse content, and as part of the snippet where you're reusing the variable as well, which is great. Moving on, let's just make this a bit more intense. Let's say, for example, I have content that's, let's see. Okay. Let's say I have this kind of cat breeds in here, and let's say, for example, I have a bit more information. Okay, what do cats eat? Okay, so over here, as you can see, do they eat wet or dry food, really? I don't know. So what you can do is, depending on what you want to display information. For example, here's a list of brands that sell super expensive cat food. So maybe some of these brands are available only in the US, some only in the UK. If you want to just categorize them so that when people start coming to your page to filter through the content, if they're coming from China, they wouldn't really care about information that's available or about brands that's available only in the US. So they just want to be, China specific. They just want to be concentrating on information that's relevant to them. So what I've done is I've just marked this up with tags. The condition tags, the third way to really reuse content. So essentially, you can build your own category right here within RoboHelp. Does not matter. I have breed, I have food, I have platform, and so on. I have region. If you like, you can just add as many grouping as you like. In your case, it might be product, really product A, B, C, and D, or region. Maybe entirely up to you how you tag this up. Just make sure that this is according to the categories and criteria you would want to split your information up. So that if you have a lot of generic information out there and just want to have specific information display for your users, you can absolutely do that. And I'm going to do that. Maybe let's say, for example, the first link, a list that I have right here, maybe the ABC company is great only for my Persian cat. I'm just going to drag and bring this in here, and it's going to tag this up as part of my Persian cat. If you can see that, let me just select the XYZ that I have right here. Just going to select this list. And then I'm going to say maybe this one's applicable only for the Bengal cat. So I'm just going to mark it up. And as you can see, you can mark this up in any way you want for a part of your content. It can be a list. It can be an image even. It can be, within a table, rules within a table. Not a problem. It will all be respected. And you can just continue reusing the remaining or rest of your content as you go along, which is great. Now, of course, towards our right-hand side, we also have something called the Properties Inspector. We haven't been in here much at all yet, so I'm going to just show it to you very quickly. When I click on this last icon right here, I have this Properties panel that pops up, and this is context sensitive. We all work on help, and we talk about context sensitivity on how our project eventually will be once we provide our help topics to our developers and they interact with the CHOM files and everything, right? So really, this is context sensitive as well. And I say that because if I'm working on an image, for example, I have options to work with my images. I can add an alt text if I like. This is my alt text, for example. So that I'm compliant, if I void compliance is important. I can add a title if I like. I can decide where the picture caption goes, for example. So everything related to images kind of pop up right here. The same would go for this, let's say, heading 2 as well. The moment I'm in here in my heading 2, I have the ability to change my font, inline, and so on. If you do not want your people to be, misusing this, you can just control this at the master level behind the scenes. It's possible to prevent inline changes, so don't worry too much about that. But for some of you that would like to make inline changes, it's also possible to work with this option. So the properties panel is going to be context sensitive. And this is also where the styles that you have defined and designed will also pop up. So this list that you have right here are just a list of whatever styles your CSS, the cascading style sheet that you will eventually use to define the font, the format of your content will pop up. So this is what gets displayed. We come with a nice UI an option to edit this changes. I'll show you that in a minute. But what I really want to show you right here is under the topics panel. Now over here, if I come down here, you can see that I have all of this text already applied to this, so I can keep track of what's happening at the at a topic level for my tags. If I'm using references in here, right now I don't have any reference in here, so maybe I want to link from this one to maybe a different topic. So maybe I want to link this to this special content for US only. If that's the case, I can just drag and drop and bring in my cross references just like that. Very, very easily if it's part of my project. If it's something that I want to bring from outside of what I have in my project, you can always use this link option right here and bring in your hyperlinks and really work with this as well. So a lot of possibilities on what happens with your content. And the moment you begin working with all of this content, your properties panel right here is going to start changing and really start displaying all of the changes right here. So very, very easy to keep track of all of this right here in terms of working with links, incoming links, outgoing links. Really very easy to work with all of this. And for that one person yesterday or the day before yesterday who asked about how to resolve broken links, if you have broken links in here in RoboHelp, very easy to do that. Just come down here to reports and then just look for broken links. So when you do that, it will parse through your complete content, and looks like right now I have one broken link under this file type topic and a JSON file that I have not linked yet. So if that's the case, let's just fix the first one. I'm just going to click on this use skin option right here so that I can actually go to that very specific topic that has the broken link. And as you can see, if I were to look at my topics option in here, I can see that this one is in red color, which means this is broken. I can just double click on this and just decide, just relink this to a specific, to a different topic, or I can just create a brand new link right here. I can just say, hello, link, and then just say, okay, create, and I can just link this right back here as well. So once I do that, this is no longer a broken link, and that's essentially how you work with broken links. So very, very easy, very intuitive. There are a lot of other reports in here that we provide with RoboHelp. We wouldn't be able to go through every single one of them today, but really, I want you to explore it and work with that when you get a chance. So that's reusing content, and we've seen how we can actually reuse content at a character level, at a paragraph level, or even at a topic level. So now when I say that at a topic level, it means that, let's say, if one particular topic is applicable only for a very particular group of, that I want to, just pull out, I can just right-click this and just say, I want to apply a particular completion tag, and then I can just select whatever tag is applicable and just click on apply, and you can apply it at a topic level as well. This classification can be done at a table of contents level when you eventually want to generate your output. So a lot of possibilities on how you work with your content. At the same time, yesterday we have seen how you can work with micro content as well in terms of reusing your content. So if you have any information as part of your micro content and you really want to include any kind of text in here, it will absolutely be respected. At the same time, if you add a new intent and really, as we've seen yesterday, if you really want to include any information from your existing content, because reusing single sourcing is key, right? We want to just make the updates in one place. And if you have this information as part of your content already, let's just say this bank look at it right here. Let's say this paragraph is what I want to apply it to that new tag. I can just apply it at whatever micro content whichever micro content I want, whichever intent it is. And then once I apply it, the moment I save this, and if in the future I can make any kind of edits or updates to this, it will be reflected as well. So right now, for example, if I go back in here, it says exactly the same thing. Maybe I come back in here and you know what? Let me just make a couple of changes in here. So these changes are going to flow back into your FAQs with the changes. So essentially, you have single sourced everything, and you have to put all of your content in such a manner that wherever it is, it does not really matter, because you can reuse all this content in several different places and just make the change in one specific place, and it will all cascade down to wherever it is reused. So various ways to reuse content, absolutely great stuff in here. And with that, I'm going to close on the reuse functionalities. Okay, so reuse is done. What next? What if we want to send our topics out for translation? What if whatever we have right here, and considering the fact that if we're reusing a lot of things, the amount of dollars that we're spending on really paying the translator for the project that we are setting for translation is going to just get reduced as well, because we are working with consistent terms in here. We are working with exact same paragraph over and over again. So if you want to manage translation, it's just right here down below. Work with it. You can create mirror projects for up to 39 languages, if I'm not mistaken. And just select the language that you want to work with. Maybe, for example, French Canada. What RoboHelp is going to do is RoboHelp is going to create a parallel project for you right there, a mirror project in a destination of your choice. For now, I'm just going to go with the default, and then just click on done, and it will create a project for you. Now since this is your master project in here, you can actually just work with a lot of varieties in terms of what happens, which ones get translated or not. For example, this is something that I just opened up, this French one. I've never sent any of my topics for translation, so right now everything is showing up as a not translated status. If I've sent anything for translation previously and something has changed, essentially, I can have this out of sync, missing. If I delete, for example, a particular topic, this was part of the original translated file. So essentially, it's going to start giving me all of this, statuses right here. So you can't really get lost here. And as we know already, whatever content you create in RoboHelp, when you send it out for translation, it goes out in the XLIF format. So you can, if you're doing manual translation, just send it out for translation to your vendors using this export to XLIF format. And then once you get your project back, then just import it, and all of the statuses will be updated from out of sync or from not translated to all of this. Hold on, where is my translation status? To in sync, and it will show up in green. So very, very nice high-level overview for you to really look at what's happening to your content. It will even tell you when you last made all these modifications and changes. At the same time, this is manual translation. If your vendors have APIs that you can work with, if you want to go for machine translation, you can absolutely do that as well. Just select machine translation, work with, build the connector right here. So right now, out of the box, we just provide Google Translation, Yandex, the Bing uses, and Microsoft Translator Text. You might not want to use this for your official translation. Probably not the best idea. We know how Google Translate works. But really, if your translation vendor has APIs, you can absolutely just provide those API key, your endpoints right here, and you will be able to send your content directly to them using this machine translation option as well. So a lot of nice stuff in here for you to facilitate and help you manage your translation, make the process seamless, at the same time ensure that your life gets easier when you work with RoboHelp. Okay, moving on, let's see what we can do with review. I obviously wish you have reviewed our documents before sending it out for translation, but I got a bit excited about translation. So let's just dial back and then see what we can do with review. If we have our content in here and I really want to send a document out for review, we can actually just create a review task. So I can just call this my DITAWORLD review, click on done. And then all the topics that I have right here as part of my project will pop up. Now, this is the place where you eventually start coming in and saying, oh, you know what, if I'm doing multiple collaborative authoring, I probably want to send only my topics up for review, the ones I'm responsible for. So if that's the case, I can always use this author information right here. Right now, I have Matt and Stefan. I like these two guys, so they are my co-authors, really. But then I don't really see anything that I'm working on right now. So if that's the case, I can always go back, define which topics belong to me. Maybe, for example, special feature Lulu belongs to me. I can just define that I'm the author right here. I can just say Wortimla, okay. And then if you want, you can add a description. This is also going to act as your metadata. So if you want your search to eventually pick information from here, you can add description right here. If you want, you can also decide what the status of your document is. I want to say this is ready for review. Absolutely possible. Once this is done, I'm just going to go back into my review that I have right here. Let me close this out one time so that we can see the difference. I refresh it. If I come in here, you'll see that this time I have my name in here. I have just one topic, but really I can just select it and then send this out for review. And as you can see, the status is also ready for review. If you need to filter this out based on what status it is, you can absolutely do that. Or if you need to send a particular table of contents for review, a specific folder for review, you can do all of that right here within RoboHelp. Very, very easy to do that as well. So there's also called the modified after. This one is particularly great if you are running your second round of refresh or revision for your documents. So maybe on the 1st of January 2021, I had my release 1, version 1 of the product that went out for release. And now I have a patch update 3 months later in March, and I want to only send the topics that have already been touched upon after that day. So I can just select just the calendar and decide which day after which day I want this reflection to happen, which will be after January 1st, and then just select those topics for review as well. Very, very easy to work with. I'm just going to hit on the share option right here, and then just generate a link. This link that we're generating right now is essentially going to put this topic that I have right here into Adobe Cloud. That's the same cloud that we use for all of our Creative Cloud products like Illustrator, Photoshop. It comes with all the security that you would expect from any system like this. And the good news is that this is completely free of cost. You don't have to pay anything as a reviewer to be able to use this functionality. So your reviewers get to review your document free of cost. You're sending just one unique URL that has been generated right here for review. You can do that at an invitation only level, or you can just set this to public as well. In our case, I would ideally like to set this to public and have you guys review it, but I'm not going to get out of the screen. So anyway, you can set this to public, add a password if you like, or just invite people one by one and add a message, and you will actually be able to work with your content. So over here, you can just say, you know what, I'm part of this already. So all of your reviewers will eventually just land in here into one unique URL, and they will be able to add annotations in here, add the markup that we really want, and really work with all of this content. So I have this special feature Lulu document right here. This is my sister's cat. His name is Lulu, and here's a small video about Lulu. Maybe some of you don't like this. You can just, say, you know what, can you delete this? I don't like this. Okay, my sister is going to be unhappy, but I can just say delete and just delete this whole section if you like. Just start adding your comments that you would really want included, or maybe and then just review this document as you go along. So a lot of very nice, simple ways to annotate. You can reply to one another. You can see what all of your other reviewers have, commented, which makes this collaborative from a review perspective as well. At the same time, for you as the author, and remember, they're not paying anything to be able to do this. They just need an Adobe ID, which is free of cost to create. So on the other hand, for you as the author, whatever is happening on the review platform, on the URL, will essentially come in here as well. So can Lulu Hunt would know Wortimla doesn't like this, so I'm telling you to delete. I can just say, okay, I'm not happy about this, but I can reply and say, okay, and I can have this direct connection chat with my reviewer right here from within RoboHelp without going anywhere else. And this is great to facilitate transparency as to who commented what, really, and why a decision was made on how. If you're confused, just have the rectification happening right here by just hitting reply and responding to your reviewer. So this is a great two-way street, really, to work with your content and really have a really nice review experience happening for you right here. Okay, now finally, in the interest of time, I'm going to really show you how we generate our output. So once we have our content reviewed, created, reviewed, and really we're ready to generate our output, I'm just going to come down here to output and just say, you know what, I want to generate HTML5 output. So I can just select, frameless. That's our new, nice, awesome look and feel layout that we have, and we have seen this in Stephen's session as well as in Regina's session. But I'm going to show this to you today as well. So we're just going to select a table of contents, and I have mine already, cats. Even if we were to go look at cats that do I have right here, you'll see that these are all just topics that I've put together. And just like we would a DITA map, you can just put another map. If it's a book map, you can put maps inside your book, inside your DITA, several DITA maps inside your book map, right? So the same logic you can follow here as well. I can put additional maps if I like, or I can just bring in whatever content that I want. Really, very simple, very easy to do that. We have some really nice options out here for you to work with your content. And so that's all. I'm going to go out here to my output, come back here to frameless, and just say, you know what, I want a layout, just select the layout and generate the output. That's about it. And in terms of really separating form from content, I think we can really see the power of it right here, because right here, for example, I have this right here. Let's preview this first. And I have this cat page. We love cats. I can just start searching for my content. Maybe I want to look for Persian. I can absolutely do that. It's going to start giving me suggestions. I have two options in here, and I can just go in here and really find, it will take me to the content that's applicable. At the same time, if I really want to use filters, I can absolutely select information. And really, let's actually have a look at the special information that we included. I think, what do cats eat? So if you come down here right now, we see everything because we're not really using filters. But if I'm somebody from India, I'm just going to select India because this is what's applicable to me. And as you can see, everything just pairs down. My table of contents has India-specific information. It has hidden everything that's not India-specific, so UK, US, China, and just displaying information that's just India-specific, which is great. If I'm a user, I'm gonna love this. And we really haven't done anything extra or much to have a nice-looking website like this, and really have responsive. And when I say responsive, it's because regardless of what kind of screen they're on, really your images are going to scale back, your menu options are going to get smaller, and so on. And really, this is going to be absolutely great even on a mobile device. So just like that, we have the same table of content generated as that output. If I want something to look darker, perhaps I can absolutely do that as well. I can just generate another layout, that's not, let's see. Yeah, okay. This one is going to be the dark skin. And then this time I can also, change the fonts to look a bit, to go with the dark skin. So I can select specific CSS if I like, really work with them and generate my output. And then come in here, and as we can see, the same topic, the same table of contents that I have, if I were to preview this, I can absolutely do that right here. It's still the same, but if I go in there, you'll see that this is a dark layout. That's because on the surface level, I didn't make any changes. But really, once you go inside, you'll see that I have a completely different look and feel. My fonts, the color has changed, and so on. So your CSS is going to control everything. Your content is going to come from one source. Doesn't really matter in terms of presentation. It can be a variety, and this is really great for branding as well, especially because you want to make sure that your eventual final look and feel is going to be a brand that you absolutely love, and it's actually vetted by your marketing team as well. So that's generating HTML5 output. But really, if you want to generate PDF as well, it works great, not a problem. You can generate PDF as well. At the same time, there are a variety of CRMs that RoboHelp supports. As you can see, chatbot we saw yesterday, but I also want to show you how to generate, that you can push content out directly to Salesforce Knowledge, ServiceNow, and Zendesk. We are also going to add support for Zoho as well. It will come very soon. So it should come later this month. And we support various CRMs that you can push out all of this content out to. So as we can see, okay, here's my PDF. Oh no, it's out of date. I want to regenerate it so that it's good. Okay, let's just preview this very quickly. And with your PDF, you can just add your front matter, back matter, if you like a TOC to be part of it. You can absolutely do all of that. You can include everything, and it will work perfectly great as well whenever you're working with PDF. And when you work with PDF at the same time, oh no, don't do that. Okay, looks like it's frozen. There are a lot of nice advanced settings, so make sure that if you have videos, you make sure that you embed those multimedia files so that it can play, even if it's a PDF file, for example. If you need to add a watermark, it's absolutely possible. A lot of nice settings in here to make sure that your content is great, secure, and accessible at all times. So let's quickly preview this so that we have a bit of time in the end Q&A. So I have this file right here. I have my table of contents, and I can absolutely just come down. And this FAQ section that I created using, using my micro content, I can absolutely just work with this as well. Actually, you know what? I did not show that to you guys earlier, but as you can see, there is an FAQ right here as well, and this was included as part of my micro content. So this is coming directly from my micro content, and you can just generate very quick, dirty FAQs right here in this manner as well. Okay, with that context set, I'm going to very, very quickly switch back over to my PowerPoint and really just, go over one slide. What did we just do? Really, I know that's 30 minutes of rush on how to work with RoboHelp as part of the demo. But really, we have looked at how to work with topics. So if you have content authoring difficulties right now as part of your challenge, you can say that, yeah, it's going to work with RoboHelp. If you have content interaction experience, gap right there, maybe you can introduce chatbots. You can work with micro content. You can really work with the interface to make sure that it's going to be very, very easy and seamless for your end users. RoboHelp does all the indexing for you, so you don't even have to, work with your keywords that extensively, even to really have them display and be findable in events. So very great as well. If slow time to market is really one of your concerns, a lot of times it is because your content reuse is not as good as it should be, or you're not really using content reuse at all. So you use condition tagging. Using condition tags, really, you can distribute out to 20 different geographical locations in 5 minutes? Can be a problem. Just tag them up and generate the output and just start distributing. It's going to be as simple as that. So slow time to market, not a problem with RoboHelp. We're happy about it too. If you're thinking of high translation costs, as you can see, the more you reuse, the more your translation costs gets cut. And as we've already seen, reusing is absolutely bomb in RoboHelp. And we have a very, very nice interface to help you keep track of your translation management as well. So that's great as well. If you have a very long review cycle, and review typically is a challenge for almost everybody in all organizations that I've seen so far. So if this is one of your challenges, then absolutely going to be a lot easier because you can see whether your reviewer is reviewing your document at all or not. If not, you can just post a reply right there, tag them, and include them. And if you want this accountability in terms of, all of the reviewers being on one platform, it's just going to get a lot shorter. You're not working with files anymore. So it just cuts down the time that you spend reviewing and remediating those changes eventually as it comes back to you. If inconsistent content delivery is one of your challenges, you can say goodbye to it now because we are single sourcing everything. You make the change in one place, boom, it goes out everywhere. So inconsistent content delivery is going to be absolutely, if not completely eliminated, you can just cut it down to by half really and make sure that your content is as good as you would want it to be. And you are responsible for creating your content, so you can absolutely be in charge of making sure that your content is still consistent and you can have it come together as one nice big platform eventually as part of your knowledge base. And finally, if you want to work with content management systems but don't really have the big bucks to buy a CCMS or even a CMS for that matter, you can just start out with something as simple as SharePoint. Almost all organizations that I know are okay with SharePoint. They have SharePoint actually, Microsoft 360. And then really, or you can start out with Git. Git is great. Git works too. So just build your connection via Git, and that should be great too. So a lot of nice possibilities in here that you can absolutely use RoboHelp, bring all of this together and fix everything that you really need to fix. So with that said, I'm going to conclude with this thought. When you work with RoboHelp, it's absolutely possible to deliver exceptional experience, not just for your end users, because your end users will have a very, very great experience working with the final output as we've seen today, but also for you as the content creator, because working with RoboHelp is easy, it's easy to manage, it's easy to learn, and everything is very intuitive. It's going to be a really, really good experience for you as a content creator too. So with that said, I'm going to end my session. I think we have a couple, just 1 minute left. So if there are any questions, I will probably take that as part of the Q&A chat box. But thank you all so much for listening to me today. And enjoy the rest of the conference, which means just one more important session that we have remaining. So,
Wortimla, that was incredible. I don't think I've ever heard as much RoboHelp per minute, that's what I put in the chat, as we saw in that. And anyone who can outstuff Kevin Siegel with a presentation on RoboHelp deserves a round of applause. So that was fantastic.
Oh.
Wow.